In this video demonstration, I'm going to show you how to use the waste from when we made this card here to make this beautiful card here. And we've mixed a combination here of the JND505 notch circle frames with the JND489 Georgian frames. And as you'll see, they match perfectly together. So in this demonstration, I'm going to use the JND505 notch circles frame to make the background. I'm actually using waste pieces from the previous video project, but I'll also be using in this one the JND489 Georgian frame. So this frame maker here, which is a 5x5, works perfectly with the inserts from this die set, and of course the inserts from the Georgian frame work perfectly and spot on with the notch square frame. So it gives us a completely different look to both of these die sets and allows us to play around between the two sets to get lots and lots of different combinations. So the pieces I'm going to be using are actually waste from the original project that I did. So when we made this card here, which is a previous video, we cut the panel 4 times to give us these ombre pieces. So we're obviously left with pieces left over, but I want to show you, if you want to do it from scratch, how we can actually do that rather than just using the waste. So I've got a piece of card here cut to 4x4. We simply add on our die from the middle of our notch circles frame and run that through our die cutting machine. And obviously this is the die cut piece that we get from doing that. So I'll bring this in here. So as you can see, very nice background. But if we do this in a second colour, there are different options that we have with this to play with. So I'm just going to pop a piece of white down so I can pop the piece there in the red. And I can obviously rotate this at 90 degrees and give me the perfect lattice or patchwork pattern. But you can also place this in between to give you a completely different stripe where we've got the two colours and the white at the background. So it's up to you how you want to sort of achieve this look. But I'm going to go for just the simple. So I'm just going to take some of the super tacky glue and just run that around the outside. And I'm going to offset the two pieces. So rotating 90 degrees. And you'll see that the die cut itself will automatically fall into place. I've not added glue to the individual stripes as I want those to stand that little bit proud and it look a little bit 3D. So I'm then going to take a little bit again of the Craft Artist glue and just around the outside. And then I'm going to add a piece of white card behind it. Again, so that those stripes are floating almost above and it gives you a real 3D look in something that is completely flat. So the next thing that we want to do is to take the square that comes within the notched circles frame, and you want to take a piece of card. I'm just using a piece of white card here, and this is the coconut white card, and I want to cut that to 4 3/4 square. So this isn't quite square, so let's just square this card off. This is the perfect project for using your scraps. I'm just grabbing scraps from my scrap box. So we take a piece that is 4 3/4 inch square, and that's because our frame is 5x5, so we want to make sure that we don't have any white showing through. And again, we place that square bang into the centre, tape that down, and again run that through our die cutting machine to give us the perfect white framed square. So I've added some foam tape onto here. So just a simple little piece of foam tape, and I'm going to frame that piece perfectly. I've then cut the Georgian frame in black. So this has been cut just in black card. Nice and simple. So this gives me a 5-inch frame. So I could of course use the notch frame, but I like to mix the two together and mix the two different die sets. So we just again frame that. If you've got any colour that's popping out of the side or any white, there's a little bit here, take your scissors, tilt them and just undercut that off. And then we simply add that to a card blank. And I've got here a nice simple 6x6 card blank. And I've matted and layered this with a piece of 5.5 inch at white. And then I've added 1/8 of an inch on for the red and 1/8 of an inch on for the black, so that the black is not too dominant. So we just add again a little bit of the Craft Artist glue over the back, and we simply tape that down just like that. Now, to add a sentiment to this, I've taken one of the PCD136, which will be available very soon, which is the notch square plain dies, and I've stamped the sentiment on in black, and I'm just going to add that in the middle. And then using the Craft Artist glue glaze, I've got some of the little flowers here. Again, these are left over from the Zora flower. So these are pieces. Again, this is a perfect scrap card because I'm using pieces left over from when I've made other projects. So these are just little flowers that are left over from when I made that. So let's just put a little collection of our flowers on like that, and a very small, sweet and easy to post card made either from scratch or made using the pieces of waste that you've got from making another project. If you want to see more ideas, hints, tips and inspiration, why not visit us on Facebook?